What's up, guys? Welcome into another edition of Bogey Free. We are coming at you today with some Sony Open action. We are Evanless today. He has a sore tum-tum, so it is just me and Anthony, who, of course, you can follow on Twitter at Amixta. You can find me at Matt Jones CFR. Anthony, what's up, man? How we doing?
Doing good, Jones. Good to talk to you. Good to be on this end of the the hosts, podcast deal. So definitely enjoying it. And listen, shouts to Evan because I'll tell you what, stomach stuff is my least favorite.
I
So
don't even
I'm
know
not
if
gonna.
it's really a stomach problem.
Oh, well, I
I'm
was
just,
just saying, I'm
I'm
not
just
gonna make
fucking with
fun of
him.
him at all because that is just the nut low anytime.
No, any time like being sick, like I'm the biggest baby. I just need my wife to do everything. Like I just lay down. I'm such a wimp when it comes to being sick. So I'm glad that I'm not in those shoes right now. But yeah, so it's good to talk to you. Hopefully we will get on some good plays this week. I had a bit of a disastrous week. I didn't really play a ton, but I didn't have uh, really any Xander to speak of. So his Sunday charge sort of dropped me from like tripling up on the weekend to like really not doing anything. How was your week? And then we'll talk about the 3-man in a sec.
Oh, I mean, it was obviously terrible because I faded Xander, and like my big fade on my friggin' show was like, oh, you know how you can really differentiate? You just don't play Leishman this week. And he's going to be like 30% owned, and you won't have him, and that's how you differentiate. And then he went out and did good things. So shout out to Harbs, who was trying to point that out to me, and I obviously ignored him and lost most of my money. So, but you know what? That's fine. It's week one. It's a no cut. We were loosening, we were wetting our whistle.
Yeah.
Now we're ready for the good stuff.
Yeah, we're good now. So speaking of the 3-man, I just mentioned it. Every week, myself, Evan, and Anthony are going to do a little competition ourselves. Evan just wiped the floor with us. He obviously had Xander. We all had Gary. That was the only 100% out of the three of us. And then he had Piercy, DJ, Bryson, and Keegs. So yeah, I mean, he really just worked us. He took down that. He took down the little tout league that I put together for these our so-called experts around the industry. So yeah, he had a monster week. I don't know if it turned into any money because both those contests are free, but hopefully he made some money. But in any case, we are on to bigger and better things now. We are moving on to the Sony Open. It is being played at Waialae Country Club once again. Par 70, reasonably short, around 7,050 or so yards, depending on which scorecard you're looking at. I know you did your stream, I believe yesterday, for the course, but tell us a couple of things you're targeting this week, Amico.
Just like stats wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the big thing that came out of like a lot of the regression trees is like you just got to avoid pluses on the score sheet because it's a super birdie friendly course, not quite as friendly as last week, but still incredibly friendly. It's like bogeys avoided, showed up a lot in the models, as did avoiding 3 putts. Like you pretty much just want to like avoid pluses in the score sheet, and then obviously you want to gain some opportunities. You want to gain good drives. You want to do stuff that's obviously going to lead you to scoring. So pretty much you want to play good golf,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think it's definitely we think of it as like a scoring fest. And last year it was the 39th out of the 51 courses, relative to par on tour. But it being a par 70, it's really a pretty different course than we saw at Kapalua. Like it's important. I know it's in Hawaii and people want to point to that like, oh, it's on the other side of the island or whatever, but
it's like 400 yards shorter.
Right. It's 400 yards shorter. There's the difference in par really does make a difference in really just how you have to attack this course. Like guys can play a little bit less than driver if they want to off the tee on a lot of these holes. And I forget which par 5 it is, but it's like it's like less than 520 yards, and it was the easiest hole literally on the tour last year. So if you're not scoring well on par fives here, you're definitely missing out. Just real quick, because I know people were talking about it on Twitter, asking questions and stuff like that. I looked it up. So out of my database, which dates back to, I think, as far back as the Tournament of Champions goes, there have been 46, or give or take, there have been 46 golfers that finished in the top 3 at the Tournament of Champions that played the next week, and only 8 of those 46 guys missed the cut. So playing well, just sort of from a recent form perspective, I think that makes a lot of sense. And then 140 guys in the top 10, only 23 of those guys missed the cut at Sony the following week. So even though it is a little bit of a different type of course, you can obviously just say, like, they're playing good golf, they're going to do well here too. It's not so different that it's like precludes, like there's no link here, but I would pump the brakes a little bit in saying, like, it's a very, like, similar course.
No, I agree. I mean, it's like you got the same greens and you're in the same state, and then after that, it's like, all right, I don't really know.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So we're looking at really just ball striking as usual, right? Like we want good drives. That's whether they hit the fairway or not, they're hitting greens. So we want to keep chasing that, and that brings us to our chalky options here up at the top. I ran the first projection, ownership projections for RotoViz. Make sure you're checking that out as well, like tomorrow night, Wednesday night, so you get the most up-to-date version. But the first run, it seems like Gary Woodland and Justin Thomas are going to be the most expensive, or highest owned. And that makes sense, obviously. Gary has really great course history here, which drives ownership. And we just saw him play extremely well. He's a slight withdrawal worry there with him because his grandma did pass away, and it's kind of up in the air if he's actually playing this weekend or not.
Wow.
But assuming that he plays, which his whole family's in Hawaii and the whole bit, so it seems like he's planning on playing and they're making arrangements, after that. But so assuming that he plays, is Woodland a guy who you're willing to eat the chalk, even with $2,800 price increase?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, right? Like, he's the third highest rated golfer in my model this week. Really crushes all the probability cut lines that I like. He's 80% to make the cut, 66% to be inside the top 25% of the field, and 25% to be inside the top 10% of the field, according to the regression tree analysis that I do and his baseline statistics. I mean, all of his numbers here are pretty much money. The only area that he kind of struggles is he was 174th last year in avoiding 3 putts. But other than that, just like, crushes good drives, really good in general at avoiding bogeys, and gains himself a lot of opportunities. So, I mean, I'm definitely down to play Gary. I know you are.
Yeah.
That goes without saying. And he's in good form, obviously, after last week, and
right.
In general has played really well here. So I know you're not like a big course history guy, but it's never a bad thing when you've played here, 4 times in the last, the last 4 years, and 3 top 10s, and the lowest finish being 13th.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, that makes sense. Everybody who's ever listened to the show knows that I'm playing Gary in even like the worst of spots. So obviously this is like he's in play this week. And then the other projected to be pretty highly owned guy this week for me is Justin Thomas, up in this range. He hit 85% of greens last week. Didn't really find his putter until Sunday. I think he actually lost strokes on the greens Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're targeting ball striking. I don't really care about putting. I'm just going to hope for the hot putter and keep playing guys with, that are hitting greens in regulation. So I'm definitely going to be playing some Justin Thomas. What say you on JT?
Yeah, I mean, JT is my guy. Like, I love Justin Thomas, and he's top 5 in bogeys avoided. Last year, bogeys avoided, birdies gained, opportunities gained, total strokes gained. Like the guy's obviously a stud. I don't really need to explain that. Hits all the same, percentile or probability cut lines thresholds as Gary, and also has decent course history here. I mean, he has missed a cut, but has won this tournament before, won 2 years ago, and has 2 other finishes into the top 15. So, and his current form has been good. I mean, again, hasn't played a ton, but third last week, but also has a 12th and a 5th over the last 3 months. So he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's sort of, before he became what he is now, where like we can trust him everywhere. Like this was the ultimate spot where you played him, like Seaside Course, Birdie Fest. He obviously shot 59 here a couple years ago. So yeah, I think you can do a lot worse than Justin Thomas. I have him projected as like the highest in this range. I think every week we kind of see that the most expensive guy, it's sort of hit or miss for them to actually end up being the most expensive. So it wouldn't shock me if that changes as I keep going with the projection, but he's definitely going to be up there.
Yeah, there's always the thing where it's like, well, he's going to be the highest owned and he's the highest priced golfer. So, I mean, should you really play Justin Thomas?
Right.
And then, I can't tell you how many times that's happened with DJ where I'm like, I think I'll fade DJ this week. He's going to be like 30% owned and he's the highest price. Then he comes in at like 19%.
Yeah. And then he'll shoot like 73 on Thursday and you're like, yes. And then he shoots 66 on Friday. Like it happens all the time. Yeah. So I think I can safely say we're both at least going to be somewhat interested in both of those guys.
Yeah. I actually have a question before we move on, because obviously like if you're playing cash this week, you're probably not going to be able to fit both of those guys in. You may honestly not even be able to play one of them. But if you could just play one in cash this week, which one would you prefer? Put your Woodland bias aside. I want you to be honest.
No, I would probably play JT just for it's not quantifiable. The mental aspect of losing on Sunday after you have a few strokes lead, everything else that's going on in his life, like it wouldn't shock me if Woodland didn't perform exactly as well as we think he's going to. So if I have to choose, I would probably lean JT just because he's playing so, striking the ball so well. So yeah, I would probably find a way to get up to JT personally. What about you?
No, I agree. That was part of the reason I asked. I wasn't sure how Gary full you'd be.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I was gonna say I'm not that crazy, but I kind of am that crazy. All right, so as we dip down, there's a couple of guys that I think will be pretty popular. Scott Piercy is getting just a monstrous amount of buzz, and everybody talks themselves into CH3 from now until like the California swing is over. So what are your thoughts on those two guys? Are you willing to eat the ownership? I know they're pretty far apart in price. Like CH3's 8,900 and Piercy's 7,600. So you're not deciding between these two guys, but are you interested in either of them or both?
I mean, I'm munching on the chalk this week. I could care less. Like I mean, well, obviously, like in a cash game setting, like Howell to me is just like the stone safest play. Like I love 3 sticks. I know like he's not going to get you a win, but the dude is just super safe. I have him at 92% to make the cut. Like you just can't beat a Charles Howell Thursday, Friday, no sweat. You know what I mean? Like that's. So now that I said that, obviously he'll miss the
of course
by like 6 strokes, but
yeah,
like
he's gonna go 79.84 and pack his bags on Friday night.
Right. So I mean, I think that he's a great play. Obviously, he's my second rated golfer in the field. Again, I want to say that like I think my model needs a lot of adjusting, but he does grade very well in terms of the stats. Very good course history here. And actually a little bit undervalued in terms of his salary. Like if you just look at where he lies from like a Vegas odds perspective to win versus his salary, like he has the same Vegas odds as like Griot is 9,200. Like, I think you could pretty easily argue that Howell should be a few $100 more. Like, I know that part of that is probably because people don't really expect him to win, but I still think that's like a little bit of a value. So I like Howell a lot, and Piercy is Evan's guy, but this is the week. I mean, he comes out tops in the model. He's obviously in great form. Doesn't
what could go wrong?
Yeah, doesn't completely crush the stats. Like, but I do have him 81% to make the cut, 17% to be inside the top 10. So, I mean, this is classic. Piercy will let me down, but like like in tournaments, I think Piercy is a guy that it makes sense to be underweight on. But like, I feel like in cash games, it's kind of hard to get away from him. I mean, he's got 3 top 25s in the last 4 years here, including a second place, and he's got 3 top 10s already in the last 3 months. Like, he's playing really good golf.
Yeah. I think it was Ben Coley tweeted out. He like searched Piercy's tweets for, I guess, Sony. And it's just every year, like him talking about how this is his favorite course on tour. So that's just gonna make ownership insane, I think.
You don't like that stuff. You hate all that. You're like a no narrative, like no course history. No, he doesn't.
No. Wait. I love narratives. I can't. I had an argument about this, like publicly, I guess like December or something, and more privately, more recently. And it's just one of those things, like I'm still working on everything. And like, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. Like, if you think that there's some sort of like magic juju where a guy walks onto a course and is just like destined to play better, then like send me every one of your head-to-heads.
I'm sending them. I mean, okay, listen, I don't think, okay, I want to be really clear here. I understand what you're saying. And like statistically, like this is like very similar, like the hot hand debate. Like, statistically, we have nothing to back up that like course history is like for most courses a big thing. I think like at like Augusta, especially, a course history matters like a lot more. But like, I do think that there is like a very clear mental edge between like wanting to play and not wanting to play at a particular place. Like Bubba, like when Bubba talks shit about Phoenix and then like bombs at Phoenix, like he doesn't want to be there. He's freaking, he's cranky and he's whiny and he's whatever. But like when Piercy's like, oh, I love playing here. Like, he's just in the right mindset. I feel like golf is like such a mental sport. I don't know. I buy it. I buy it more than you. I don't want to go crazy, but I definitely, I believe it.
This is also one of those things where like it's a way more level-headed take when I describe it, because it's the same thing as Josh with the defenses don't matter. Like, if you go listen to the Takecast when he explains like detail by detail and not like in 280 characters, if you disagree with him, like, you're disagreeing with math and numbers. Like, you just can't do it. Like,
Sure.
The way that he's talking about it is exactly what he's saying, and it makes sense. It's the same thing with this, but people don't want to believe it because you have like these random instances that end up like working 3 or 4 years in a row. Then you go the other way and you say one thing where it doesn't work, and they're like, oh, but that's just one. But like everything is just one. It's not like a real thing that can be proven.
Sure, yeah.
Because you have the guy like Johnson Wagner. I tweeted it out before earlier today. Like, he has played here 9 times, missed the cut 8, and won the only time he made the cut or something ridiculous. Like, you can't tell me like, oh, if they miss 3 cuts in a row, I'm never, ever going to play them here ever again.
Right.
Then you're probably going to miss out on some good plays. That's all.
I just think that like, I think that a lot of times as analysts, we like chalk things up as variance. And I think for like a large portion of the population, that may be true. But like, I just think that like, whether it's defenses, course history, injuries, like there are just like certain people that these things actually do apply to, I don't know if Piercy's one of them, maybe he is, but I feel like not everything's the same for everybody,
Yeah. I can't deal with the argument against it being like, well, so and so said that they play better here, so they're always gonna play better here. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, that kind of shit drives me crazy because I'm like, I need some sort of proof. And the things that I value when I'm going to pick players in PGA is ball striking. Like,
Sure.
we can joke about it, we can talk about stats till we're blue in the face, but you're just trying to catch a hot putter with guys who are going to have birdie opportunities. Like, anything anybody says outside of that is just it is narrative half the time. You know what I mean? Like, you want guys who are hitting a lot of greens and might putt well, and then you're good. You have a great week when you have guys that hit all the greens and make all the putts. Like, it's an easy game when you think about it, right?
Just play Adam Scott every week until he has a good putting.
Exactly. Speaking of which, and I'm obviously, I always eat the chalk with CH3. Piercy, I think there's a really good case to be made for like, I might full fade in tournaments. But in cash, I don't know that you can really get away from him just because everybody's going to have him.
Yeah, and 7,600. I mean, it's not. If he was 8K or something, and he was like forcing your hand a little bit, like,
yeah,
price is reasonable.
Yeah, no, for sure. Other like potential guys in this range that I think could possibly get popular, like guys that I'm thinking could catch some late buzz. Adam Scott at 8,300. I think Ches on par 70s, guys always like to go to him, and same thing with Brian Harmon. So those three guys I think could see more ownership than I've projected them for so far. If you're listening to this like Wednesday afternoon, you might be like, why the hell aren't they talking about Adam Scott? Everybody's talking about him. But like I said, first run through, CH3 and Piercy are pretty far and away the more expensive guys, or the higher owned guys. I keep saying that. As we go through, I didn't really have many guys under 7,500 that really popped as far as ownership goes. I do think, and now I'm scrolling through like labs too, and they don't really have anybody either. I'm saying that Sink and Ryder could be decently owned, at least in cash games this week.
Yeah.
So are you interested in either of those guys, or what's your deal? Because neither of them have played. I believe Sink played the CJ Cup last, and Ryder played maybe in Mexico at Mayakoba. So what are your thoughts with those two guys?
I mean, if they're going to be popular, I'm not really that interested. Sink was someone that was piquing my interest a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was under the assumption that he would not be popular. So, like, if people are going to play him, I don't really think I want to. I mean, the current form isn't very good because he really hasn't played, like you said. Did miss a cut, like maybe like 6 or 8 weeks ago. Course history here is decent. It's not great. He's like a decent fit in the stats. 80% to make the cut, 42% to be in the top 25. Like, that's or top 25%. Like, that's reasonable. But like, I'm not gonna like go out of my way for Stu Sink and people are gonna play him. Like, he's like a guy like I like to get in my lineup as like my 5th or 6th golfer when like no one's really gonna play him, and I feel like he's not gonna kill my lineup.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm a big time Sink guy. He's firmly in the brand. I think that for cash purposes, and if you're building a lineup where you're going to take some chances elsewhere, I think Sink gives you a fair bit of cut equity, but I think Ryder probably has like a higher ceiling as of right now in each of their careers. So we'll see. Let's before we get into the pivots down here, I want to remind everybody that you can get into our listener league as of right now. I'm pulling it up. I believe that it's there's only about 10 spots left. We made it bigger this week. It's a 50-man, $5 to get in, pays the top 3, yada yada yada. I think it's like 112 to the winner, so that's decent for a 50-man field.
I have to make it bigger again. I almost didn't get in. I answered it today.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe we fill it a couple more weeks, maybe for Phoenix, we'll make it 75 or 100.
Nice.
Either way, the link will be in the iTunes description. Definitely. If I remember to put it in the YouTube description, it'll be there too, but no promises there. But either way, good luck this weekend. And let's get into some pivots here. So we talked about the popular options above 9,500. Who are you thinking outside of those two guys that you think would be worth some shots in a GPP?
I mean, I'm obviously going to play Bryson. He's like wedged right between these two guys, and it could have him go a little overlooked. I mean, what does your model have for Bryson versus like JT or Gary?
Like I said, as of right now, Bryson, I have around like 12 or 13%.
Yeah, so like
compared to like 20s for the other two.
Yeah, so like I'll obviously jam on Bryson because he's obviously really good, but I mean he's perfect for the course. Like 7 total strokes gained last year, 6th in opportunities, 5th in birdies, 10th in good drives, 22nd in avoiding bogeys. So obviously just like a really good play from that perspective. Has all the same probability outcomes as Woodland and JT. So like from that perspective, he is like almost like a direct arbitrage play. Doesn't have like the course history that Woodland has, but I mean Bryson is clearly a guy that projects as like a riser in terms of his play.
See, so you get why I don't care about course history. Like this is the perfect example of like people gravitating around somebody who's actually a very good golfer and like are just going to like he's going to be a little bit overlooked because the other guys around him have good course history.
Yeah, no,
like this is the like perfect situation for Bryson to go a little bit underowned. A lot to do with that because all three of them played well last week.
Right, and Bryson hasn't played here since 2019. He hasn't played here since 2017 and finished 49th. So like last year in like the year of Bryson rising, didn't play, so we didn't get him. Like he'd obviously have a better score here, like a better looking course history if he played last year.
Right.
And then now I think he's amazing. So it's my son.
There you go. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm going Mark Leishman. I think it's not like he's not gonna be like low owned. Obviously, like none of these guys are gonna be low owned. I think it's gonna be pretty flat.
Yeah. I mean, you can't beat the form.
Yeah, and I just think it's going to be very flat from Reed up. Like I don't really see a single digit play ownership wise in here. I think they're all at least going to be double digits, probably like 12 to 13 ish and up. So we're not getting like some crazy discount in ownership. But like he's just like great. Like he's just very, very good. Like he's hit at least 70% of his greens in 7 of his last 8 events. Since this tournament last year, he's only missed 3 cuts. And over the last year, he's averaging 74 DraftKings points per event, which maybe that doesn't sound like a ton, but when you really think about it, like you factor in missed cuts and stuff where he scores like 15 or 20 points, like that's a solid number. So yeah, I'm definitely going Leishman quite a bit in GPPs. He might be my one and done pick. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm leaning towards him as of now.
Am I nuts to think that if there is a single digit guy in this range, it'd be Spieth?
It could be. Like yeah, no, it definitely could be. I know I saw earlier today there was a tweet circulating that of him saying he hasn't really practiced much and he's using this to like test to see where his game is, which
that's good. I
think
it
could be the best. Like I think it could be like maybe he can get rid of these like awful like putting yips that he has 100%. And just go out and like play.
Right.
So
like his mentality going in is just like I don't care where I finish. Yeah. I just want to like work on some shots, hit good shots, play good golf.
Yeah.
And then he's like not friggin' sweating on like a 3-footer on 16 on Friday, like.
Yep. I hear you. I'm such a sucker for speed though. Like I'll fucking talk myself into this guy like every chance I get. So yeah, he makes sense. Obviously, all these guys in this range are playable. Like we don't need to talk about everybody. But if like gun to my head, I would absolutely be trying to jam in Leishman everywhere I can. As we dip down, I know this is a big range, so if you have a couple guys, that's fine. Who are you pivoting to in this like 94 to 7,500 range?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, it's a really big range, right? But I
know
like.
last week this range was like 8 guys. That's why I broke it up this way. And now I'm like, shit, there's usually like 40 guys in this range.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I really like Zach Johnson. I mean, I think ZJ is an excellent course fit. His current form stinks. Like, there's really no, like, that's why I feel like people aren't going to play him.
Right.
Is that he hasn't played good golf, but like he's a really good player here. 14th, 6th, 9th, 64th, 8th over the last 5 years here. Really good numbers. Does have 1 7th place finish, this calendar year, so it's not like he's completely out of it, completely not, but he hasn't played.
Yeah.
But in terms of the stats, he's like one of the few guys that fits the stat model at the highest possible level for every threshold. So 92% to make the cut, 66% to be top 25%, and 25% to be top 10% in the field. So again, these are just based on like buckets on like historical performance, the course, like based off like 350 golfers or something like that. So I don't want you to like obsess over it, obviously, but I feel like Johnson's going to go way overlooked, and he's a priority GPP guy for me.
Makes sense.
300 less than Howell,
Yeah, and being that close to Howell will probably help. Even if people wanted to play Zach Johnson, I think probably like will help keep his ownership down a little bit. Going down a little bit further, I really like Pat Perez and Sung Jae Im this week. I'm just gonna keep playing Sung Jae Im until he gets his first win, because I think he's like, of these young guys, like he has proven to just be like just a winner. Like web.com, he won the first event last year and he literally led the entire, like the money list the entire season. Like he never gave up the lead of the money list on the web last year. So I like guys like that. I like guys who have proven that they can win at other levels. 90 to 1 on my bookie right now, in case you're betting. I think that's a pretty decent price for him. And then Pat Perez, like I said, this is like the Perez spot. Like these courses, these types of courses are where we want to play him. He's 66 to 1. He's at a 7,700. Like,
yeah,
just easy play here for me. If you want to get away from like Piercy, and you just need $100, like just find $100 and play Perez in a couple of GPP lineups and count your money later.
Yeah, I mean, Perez is a classic Amico Kryptonite guy. But if you don't have that $100, could I interest you in Cardinals wide receiver Chris Kirk?
Only if you're stacking him with Rosen now that Kingsbury's there.
Yeah, gets a new head coach. But he actually fits this course really well from a statistical perspective based on what he did last year. Really good at avoiding like the 3 putts and stuff like that. Again, like you want to avoid the pluses, not just to make the cut, but like wherever in a course where everyone's going to be scoring, when you take a plus, it like double kills you. It's not like this isn't Augusta where like you take a plus and like so did the 6 guys behind you.
Yeah.
It really buries you. So he's good in that area. And has missed 2 of the last 3 cuts here, but also has a 10, a 10th, a 2nd, and a 5th. So like Kirk has exactly the range of outcomes you want. Like he could be 3 shots off the cut line on Friday, but he also could finish in the top 10. And that's, I think, exactly what you want in a GPP play.
Yeah, makes sense. Anybody else you're feeling in this range?
I
think those are my two favorites.
Yeah, nobody that I really want to talk about.
And obviously, like Tway is right on the borderline here. Just came out firing on Thursday. Got me real excited for my 140 to 1 ticket. I had that money fucking spent, let me tell you. But yeah, he just kind of coasted his way through the rest of the week. It happens. He still hit over 3/4 of his greens though. So he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. He can score on the par fives. Obviously, he was 8 under last week on the par fives. So if he can take advantage of those and just sort of, stay neutral on the par threes, like he's been doing lately, I think he could make some sense also.
Yeah. And he has a lot of win equity at that price. Like, you just look at the Vegas odds, like, or, whatever your, my bookie, perhaps, whatever your betting source of choice is, like, he's probably underpriced based on where he is in terms of the betting line.
Yeah, he's 75 to 1 right now.
Yeah, so big play guy.
Oh yeah. All right, and under 7,500. I mean, you could probably make the argument that like anybody down here is a low owned GPP option for the most part. So who are some of your favorites down this way?
I mean, it's time to unleash Don Bazzelli.
Oh boy.
I'm just saying that if you're gonna go this low, play the guy that might finish in the top 10. He fits the course from that perspective where like he has upside. Like the projection model literally says that he has like a great chance to miss the cut. Only 34% to make the cut, but 17% to finish inside the top 10. So again, like a really extreme range of outcomes. He's a guy again that has like huge splits versus the Vegas odds. And I guess this kind of depends on your source, but he's like 99th percentile in the field in terms of basically like where he's rated from a salary perspective compared to where he's rated from a odds perspective. Like all the other guys in his range are all like 300 to 1, and he's like 175 to 1. So I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is quite a bit. So you're picking up a little bit of extra win equity, and kind of all I care about at this point. I mean, he's made a cut here before, so like, all right, you know what I mean? Like, at least we know that he won't completely suck, and he hasn't played terrible golf this year. I mean, he's average finish in the last 3 months is 33, or last 10 weeks is 33. Like, that's not terrible. I'd take a T30 from a 6,400 golfer.
Oh, for sure, gotta. Yeah, that definitely makes some sense. All right.
You're gonna take your namesake, Matt Jones?
No. I have a long and storied history of never getting that guy right. It's so frustrating. I'm thinking I'm just gonna go like full team old guy and just be like, let's get some Stricker, Like, sure. Why the hell not? Like, if he's not beating up old people on the Champions Tour, he's like just grinding out cuts on the PGA. Like, the dude is just like, he's built for a par 70. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, he's always in the mix. From like, I don't know, 30 years ago. Like, he's just always been around, and now like he just has the perfect game to just make a cut. Like, you're not going to get a ton out of him. He's 7,300. He's not going to top 5 for you. But if you want to take some stabs with some of these like super low owned guys, I think like him and Sink both at the same price, like you can lock in quite a bit of cut equity and just like shoot for upside in the rest of your lineup, basically.
Yeah, I like that idea. I do want to give a quick shout out to Johnson Wagner. Really have no idea if I want to play him, but I just want to point out that he's played this course 9 times in the last decade and has missed the cut in 8 of them, and his only made cut, he won the whole thing.
My goat.
So
he's my guy. He's one of my anti-course history guys. How could he possibly do that? Like, the course just must have fit his eye that week and never again, you know? It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I'd be feeding into your narrative. So
it's the best.
I take it back off the playlist.
I was gonna mention him anyway, but the commish in the chat right now is mentioning it too. Jerry Kelly is like the ultimate course history narrative guy. Like, he's the dude. He's like 7,000 years old. But he just has like wild history here. Like, dating back to 08, he has a third, a ninth, another third, a 29th, a sixth, a ninth, a 14th, and just a couple of miscuts thrown in there. Like, and he's 1,000. Like, it's insane. So yeah, I think people are gonna say they're gonna play him and then don't end up playing him. That would be my guess.
If you want,
everyone wants to be on the record as saying that they had Kelly, but it's not gonna happen.
I do want to mention one other guy. He's not in this range, but like, if you're just looking for a guy who is playing really good golf, Abraham Answer, he's 8,800, but just playing lights out over the last 3 months. Has 3 top 5s and a 21st. So you're just looking for a guy, and missed a cut here last year, so I'm sure nobody will play. So, but if you're looking for a guy that's like just playing really good golf, Answer is probably a guy for you.
Yeah, he came on pretty strong. The only reason I knew who he was because he was always the first person in my database, because like the AA thing. So like, at first I was like, oh, he's that dude that is always at the top when I sort alphabetically. And then he like
but never at the top when you sort based on anything.
Right. Right, exactly. So yeah, but he's played some great golf recently. I like that call. I think that he will be a little bit overlooked. I think the price may scare some people off, but I think that he has some pretty good like top 20 potential there. The other guy who, like, just from just a straight up like story perspective, like, I'm not gonna play him, but like, one of a story came out, I think it was this week, about like Jose de Jesus de Rodriguez's like upbringing. Like, he's a 37-year-old rookie on the tour, and like, he's from Mexico, like literally grew up on like a dirt floor, and
Instantly
is just like living the dream right now. Like, okay. So just, if you can't root for that guy, you like just have the like darkest heart in the world.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna play him, but it's a cool story.
Right. Yeah, like, we're just pointing out that like, if this guy is 1 stroke back on 18 and you have the guy that's in first, like, it's okay if you don't win. It's okay. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's hit our cash locks here. As always, these are our 2 guys who, I don't know, Miko, your stance on this, as far as like actually going 100% on a guy. Mm-hmm. I typically pick at least 2 guys each week that I'm going 100% on. That's why I started including this in the show and in my articles over at RotoViz. So I pretty much nailed it last week with Gary and Rom. So I'm hoping I can keep the streak going here. But who do you got this week? Who are your dudes?
So I just want a clarification here, because so you're saying that when you play, if you're playing like a tournament, you'll lock 2 guys in?
Yeah, like, if let's say I'm building 20 lineups for the week, like, mm-hmm. I at least have 2 guys in every single lineup.
Very interesting.
Yeah, because I think it's very much like the make it even more of like an all or nothing thing.
No, I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable. But based on like the question, we're talking cash locks, true cash locks. Like, for me, it's 3 sticks and it's Beersey. Like, those are the guys.
There you go. That works. I like it. I have Howell as well, and Leishman. Like I said, I think I'm going. I think I'm going him in the big one and done for Gup. I haven't decided yet.
Anytime
But
you can take a guy in one and done after he finishes in the top 5, you just have to do it.
but it's also one of these things like, and I don't know, like I guess this went a little. No, actually, we're good on time. Actually, we're right at 45 minutes. We're crushing right now. So just real quick, I know a lot of people jumped into the Gup one and done, or maybe you do like some other contest. Amigo, have you been in one and dones before? Are you doing one this year? Do you have much experience there?
I do not. I know, like, I obviously like understand what it is, but I did not do like the Gup one and done, and so I don't really have. I don't have like a lot of golf friends. Pretty much like you in the market. So.
Well, I'm in pretty awful company there, but all right. But yeah, so just real quick, like I've been talking to people who are much, much smarter than me. And the more that I think about it, like as far as one and dones go, like people try to get really cute and like go way off the board. There's maybe 40 events, right? So like if you're dipping like extremely far out of the top 50 in the world golf rankings, like you're probably giving up a decent amount of money. Like I'm really trying to stick to this where like I'll fall in love with like a 6,800 guy on DK, but that doesn't make him a good one and done pick. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that I'm struggling with. Like I did it last year and I was just like making like minus EV moves left and right. So if you're jumping into one and dones, just remember that it's not like there's 100 events that you have to pick. Like you're going to burn 40 guys during the course of the year. Like don't pick like a guy who's like 170th in the world because everybody's touting him that week. Just
right. Your one and done sleeper should be like Emiliano Grillo, not like I don't know, Snydergens or something, you know? Like,
right. And also if you're playing Ollie, please send me your head to heads as well. Ollie's the goat. Stupid no hat. Whatever. Yeah, so just a little quick side note. We're not gonna like necessarily do a one and done picks and stuff every week, but I know it's starting up this week in the big contest. I think there's over 3,000 entries in the Gups one and done. So it's a great tournament. Probably.
Can I still get in that?
No, it locked on Sunday.
I figured that.
Yeah, maybe you could stake me if you want.
I'm good.
That's a good decision.
I witnessed what happened to your last big bet. I don't.
Oh, come on. I know. I hedged out of it. So for people
nice. Good,
who are listening now, I made probably my biggest bet of my gambling career on the Alabama money line and I actually went to bed before the game even started because my son has decided that he's not going to sleep anymore.
Of course.
So I just happened to wake up and I was like, oh, real quick, like let me check the score. And I guess it was in the second quarter. And I was like, all right, I'm hedging way the hell out of this and just bet on Clemson and said, forget it, and went to sleep and just lost a couple bucks. So
man, listen, that's sharp though. Not enough people do that. They get trapped in the moment. Yeah. And like when it comes to live betting, especially, like you hesitate for a second and it's over. Like you missed your spot.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I lucked out in that I woke up randomly in the second quarter. And of course, like my degenerate mind is like, oh, let me check. Instead of going right back to sleep, let me check the score of the Clemson Alabama game.
That's why I can't bet anymore if I'm not going to be awake for the finish of the game. Because my brain is like trained. I like, this is not to make the show longer, but like maybe like 5 years ago, I was like really heavy in betting basketball.
Yeah.
But like, I couldn't sleep because I'd be waiting for like the Thunder game to end at like 1 a.m. and shit. Like it was bad, dude. It was really bad. So now I just don't bet if the game's not going to be over before I go to bed.
Yeah. And I think that probably, even if you would have made good bets there, like in the long run, that probably saves you, right? Like It probably ends up being a plus EV thing, regardless of if you would have won or lost some of those bets, because you definitely would have lost a lot of them. Like, it's just how it works. Like, we all know we're not beating, these lines on a consistent basis. Like, that's why golf betting is so great, because you can legitimately hit on a guy who's 60-1. And even if you only throw a few dollars down, like, you're still getting a few $100 back. So, definitely, pick a trusted source and get some first round leader bets and some win bets in this week. I want to post some of my bets. I don't know that I'll actually get to it tomorrow, but you could look for that on my Twitter at MattJonesDFR. You can follow along with Anthony over at Amixta on Twitter and on Twitch. Make sure you're checking out his streams because he's doing a bunch of cool stuff. And other than that, we are out of here. So we'll talk soon. Good luck this week, everybody.